I've decided to name this the preseason preparation program. I like alliteration whenever I can. We did this with a couple different towns over the last few years. And basically, the mission, what brought me to doing this is I'm trying to help rec parents maximize their practice time because the number one complaint I hear is that we don't get enough practice time, right? We get 1 hour a week. Trying to make everything happen with that can be really tough with especially our third, four, and our five, six age groups. So it's kind of my way to solve that problem away. So I'm going to cover the problem we solve, kind of what we offer, how it works, and then what we'll get. And really, the latest iteration of all this is that we're going to do all this for free, just so we can get more reach, more parents, more kids that know us and what we're capable of, because that just helps drive everything else we do throughout the year. So this is kind of how I think about practice, where practice time is spent. Most coaches are going to do isolated skills like stationary dribbling, and they're going to go run their 5-on-0 scripted plays in practice. And they're not going to do much in the middle, which is where I see most basketball is played. So most of what we're working on is connecting the dots of the two in what I call skills downstream from decisions. We're playing, here's a game scenario, decisions we need to make, skills that come out of that decision, and then it all stacks up to give the players a lot better context and enjoyment of practice so that it sticks and actually translates to the game. So, what I've come up with a trial and error, really the last 5 years, different towns we've worked with, is a three-prong attack to try to make this work at the maximum. So, first, I've landed at a parent workshop with the players involved. Really, three different ways that this benefits us. One, we get the parents on the floor, get them to understand like how hard it actually is if they haven't tried coaching their child, like to get them to execute something, because they often complain about, coaches and how much time they're able to put into the individual players and how effective that is. Also, to help them leverage their practice time at home. Like if they have a hoop in the driveway, our hope is to show them a couple things they can be doing at home to help, because we have limited practice time. We're not going to be able to get as many reps as we want the player to have in just our team practice. And then the third reason, one of the changes we made was to move this to the start of our sequence in order to pre-qualify potential coaches, because it's really a good sign. Like if parents are willing to show up to a workshop, they're willing to get on the floor, they're willing to get their hands on a little bit, then they're probably a good candidate. If you don't have your coaches already chosen, then you can be treating them like they're raising their hand as at least a potential candidate for that.
Mhm.
Second aspect is the coaches training, where we try to spend most time. So we have I'm getting an echo back. If I can have you guys mute, I'll just mute you from my end there. Sorry about that. So we have a course that's already pre-recorded, just videos, basically covering four big things: practice design, how to give better instructions, principles of offense, principles of defense. It's about 2 hours total, about 30 minutes per video, and just kind of prime their brain like we do with our player curriculum. Prime the coach's brain with what we're going to do and why we're going to do it that way before they actually come to a clinic on the court, so that they just understand better what we're in for and we can get more done. And then doing a hands-on coaches clinic, kind of my favorite thing is to put the coaches into the role of the player. So like, hey, we're going to run this drill or play this game, and I want you guys to show up with your game shoes on, like you're going to act it out as the players and kind of get a feel for what that is, which is incredibly helpful when they try to translate that to teaching it to the players. And then the third is to do a player clinic. So basically stacking these up. We've approached the parents and shown them a little bit of what we do and how we practice. We've shown the coaches philosophically why we're going to do stuff and how to do it. And now we're really helping the coaches get some hands-on practice implementing these ideas, while I'm there to give them some feedback. Hey, here's how we can make the line shorter, make this move faster. Here's how we can get more players involved, maximize our equipment, how much court space, how many hoops, how many balls, how can we get it maximized so that our practice time is most effective. So how this typically works: in the past, we've done a 90-minute parent player workshop, and depending on how broad of a age group spectrum, we might break that into a couple chunks. It might be 45 minutes of like K through 4, depending on where your age split is, which I think you guys are doing K through 6th grade, if I'm not mistaken. because the K through 8. Okay, good. Sorry, you're muted. I wasn't sure where that landed with you guys because of the middle school team, but that's good. If you have K through 8th, then that makes it easy. Like K through 4th and 5th through 8th can be kind of our two segments. So identify potential parent coaches, like I said, maximize the parent impact outside of team practices, and really just give them age specific content. Like, hey, here's what you should be working on with your kindergarten to second grader compared to what you should be probably working on with your seventh and eighth grader. It's not going to be the same thing. And most parents' experience is like, I played high school 20 years ago, and that's how I approach practice for my kid. I don't know how to translate that to the younger ages, especially. The Confident Coach course, like I said, it's 4 videos, about 30 minutes each. So we just like send you the playlist. We actually have it on YouTube. You can send it out to all your coaches and let them go through it at their own speed. Practice design, simplifying instructions, principles of offense, and what I call the 3 pillars of defense are 4 topics there. And then the hands-on coaching clinic usually will spend 2 hours. Again, that can be broken up or maybe expanded depending on the age group breakdown. But again, it could be a K through 4th and a 5th through 8th potentially. We want to get the coaches on the court as a player role and really talk about prioritizing practice for each age group, right? It's like we don't need to be running really set plays with K through 4. We need to heavily weight it towards skill development and small sided games, and then trying to just simplify practice. So it's a framework approach rather than a lot of really specific plays or really specific drills for one thing. We try to integrate a lot of concepts to just get more out of every minute we're on the court. And then hopefully having had all the coaches watch the video content ahead, we usually get a lot better questions and answers, troubleshooting like, hey, I've done this in the past that worked, but this didn't work. And how do you implement, this idea I saw in the video to really translate it to the court? And again, we try to translate that for each age group. So if we have a mix of coaches, we might even say like, hey, this is what I do with 5 and 6, and then this is how I'd modify it to do for 7 and 8. Try to give them some really clear ideas about how it would work for their age group. And then the player clinic, I call it the coaches player clinic, where I'm not doing a lot of the coaching directly to the players. I'm kind of setting things up and letting them run it and maybe pausing in between each segment to give them some feedback, stop and correct and improve some things as they go through. So this one's usually like after registration is closed, coaches might even know what their teams are, and they are working with their players while we're there to help facilitate. So it might even be like first week of practice, timing wise, where we come in to do this part. And my favorite model here is 6 things in 60 minutes, basically breaking stuff into about 10-minute segments, trying to cover 6 topics in a 60-minute practice to maximize that. And then I think I already said the other 2 lines. Coaches are leading, and we're just providing feedback, trying to get them reps like we would ask a player to do reps, get them comfortable coaching it so that when they go on their own, they're confident in what they're doing. So all this stacks up to be a whole bunch of value we've talked about as our sales presentation in the past. What we like to include with this, so this is like the core stuff. We have the Confident Coach course I mentioned. We have a 6-week practice plan that a lot of coaches have asked for, like a PDF. We just send it out, and we actually updated it last fall. So it now has links embedded in the PDF that go to the YouTube videos with a demonstration of like the drill and game, which is great. And then kind of all of our videos we have on YouTube to kind of go along with that. And then we also have the recording. So, like when we're there doing each of these 3-prong clinics in your gym, I like to record all that on video and just give it to you guys so that you can use it. Coaches can reference it this year. You can maybe even use it for future years. And then I also like to do what I call a practice audit, which is like show up mid-season with each age group and take a look at, hey, how are things working? Where are things falling apart based on what we had worked on or talked about early season? Where are coaches struggling to try to get this skill or this concept to really work with their age group. So that's like my playground where I really like to spend time during the winter is trying to troubleshoot stuff and make it actually work better. And then for the parents, we like to give away an eval, kind of like I did at the recent clinic I came to on a Sunday. Just give them a gift card, like, hey, here's here's a golden ticket, we call it now, to come and see us and do a free evaluation for your player one-on-one. It's a great way for us to meet more future clients. And then we also like to offer the younger age group a drop-in session for one of our group classes. Where they're not really eligible, not really beneficial to do like a one-on-one workout. They can come and do more of our small-sided game leagues. And then I also like to offer with the parents, do a mid-season like Q&A Zoom call where they're not probably going to show up all in the same place at the same time in person, but they might be able to come on a Zoom session and just ask questions. We're struggling with this skill, my child in games this season. How can I work on that better at home? Kind of stuff. Um, and so I already talked about the value stack, and actually what we did sell this for to several cities last year was 32.99. The total value of all this stacks up to 11 grand. And so our real change of my mindset this year is, like I said, give it away for free so we can reach more people. And our greatest value is just from getting in front of more families with basketball kids. And I really want to get more people playing basketball. I'm seeing a lot of kids drop out, mostly because the coaching is not great, the younger age groups, and they're not engaged, or they get burned out from, I guess, incompatible coaching approach for the age group that they're working with. Despite our volunteers' best intents, they often turn a lot of players off. And so trying to beat the stat of 70% of kids quitting before eighth grade by getting more players playing longer. And to do that, we need better practices. So then why us is every program is losing players, especially on the girls' side. I'm noticing more and more in the last couple of years. And I think that's a lot to do with poor coaching engagement or just an outdated approach to practice where players are not seeing the connection to the game, and they're like, I'm bored here and I'm getting yelled at for mistakes, and like I'd rather do just about anything else in my time. And then I've just reached my 20th year of coaching actually this fall. And we've done this with 5 different cities now over the last 5 years, and had some really good feedback, and I think some better results with the growth of their program by taking this approach. So that's the end of my spiel here. I'll let you guys unmute yourselves. Thanks for letting me go through all that. I guess first off, any questions you have about what I just ran through? And then I'd like to talk about dates and how we can implement as much of this as you want to take on.